Hey, what's up? My name is Jack Lane. Welcome back to a brand new video here at the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Kathleen Kennedy. Been a huge thing on YouTube. A lot of videos I've seen on it. I haven't actually watched any videos, but I know that this is the article everyone's referring to, and the one that I'm referring to in today's video. And that article comes from thatpartplace.com, and it's about whether Kathleen Kennedy ready to retire, but is waiting for a win, according to entertainment analyst. There's a picture of Kathleen Kennedy with the acolyte. I mean, it says everything, doesn't it? I mean, Kathleen Kennedy, great, but she's really driven Star Wars into the ground, and them putting this picture here will just make fans like hate what she's done to the Star Wars even more. It bombed. It wasn't great, but yeah, okay. Kathleen Kennedy apparently has something in common with much of Star Wars fan base. She wants Kathleen Kennedy to leave Lucasfilm. I don't think she's talking in the third person here. I think this is just done for the article's sake. I don't think Kathleen Kennedy would refer to herself as Kathleen Kennedy, but that's how the article put it. But according to Film Threats Chris Gore, she's only willing to walk out the door under one condition. That makes sense. Namely, she wants to leave on the heels of a massive critical and commercial success. That's something Lucasfilm hasn't experienced in quite some time. Since Disney's initial acquisition of Lucasfilm in 2012, the company has been under the direction of film industry veteran Kathleen Kennedy. Back then, the longtime George Lucas and Steven Spielberg associate promised George that she would take care of his life's work, and she has done anything but. I mean, I can't argue with it. The last massive critical and commercial success that Star Wars had was definitely Mando, Season 2. I feel like maybe she thought The Acolyte would have been something that. The Acolyte could have been a very successful and commercial show, but it went in a different direction than I think people wanted it to. It didn't tell a story that was good. They changed so much, and it was just an all-round bad show to a very predictable plot line. To be honest, when I first saw the trailer, and when I first saw the first couple of segments of The Acolyte, right, when I first saw all that, I actually thought that The Acolyte was going to be a murder mystery Star Wars show. And I thought that was quite interesting. That's like a spin on its own head. So, but they didn't do that. They did what they did, and it didn't really work. The plot was predictable. Not many people liked it. I stopped watching after like episode 2 or 3. I can't even remember. I think I watched the first 3 episodes because I think it was the first 3 that released all at once, and after the third one I'm like, I'm out. But yeah, so I do need to go back to it. I do. And yeah, she promised George that she would take care of his life's work. She's done anything but. Yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? Right. Under Kennedy, the Star Wars franchise has gone from the most evergreen IP of all time to a sour note punching bag for YouTubers and streamers the world over. Yeah, it's quite bad. Like, I'm a Star Wars fan. I've just started YouTube, of course, but I've been on YouTube for years, like watching it, making different types of content here. But this is the first time I've actually properly tried to do something that I find that I'm passionate about. Before that, it was just video games because that's what I was doing back when I was a kid. And they weren't very good. But even then, like, me and my mates would talk about Star Wars. And we do little videos on them. And it would be bashing it. Because I would say episode 7 was good. Right? Episode 7 was nostalgia bait. We have a lot of nostalgia bait in cinema. People love it at the moment. 2015, when we had nostalgia bait for episode 7, it was like, okay, cool. They're rehashing episode 4. And they developed a mysterious villain, which was good. And that, of course, was Snoke. Then you get to episode 8, and Rian Johnson kills Snoke off. That's where the problem started, I think, was when they killed Snoke off, it was like, well, where do we go? Then they handed the realms back to J.J. Abrams after, was it Colin Trevorrow or whatever his name was? He wrote a Star Wars script called Duel of the Fates, and it was absolutely amazing. Script, could have been a very good Star Wars story, but it just never got made. He was taken off the project, and J.J. Abrams handed back the keys, and we got episode 9, which had to fix Episodes 8 mistakes by bringing back Palpatine, being like, oh, Palpatine was the one who was doing it all along. Luke knew about Palpatine, but didn't do anything about Palpatine. Like, he had his suspicions, but he didn't do anything. He didn't seek him out. It's like, would Luke really do that? I mean, I doubt it. It undid Anakin's arc from the original trilogy, which people hated. So it sort of didn't really help itself out there. And Star Wars then from that moment onwards, I think, went downhill. We had a couple of hits where we had, you know, Mandalorian, Clone Wars, which Clone Wars is always going to be a hit. Season 7 of Clone Wars. Bad Batch was good. But the rest of it's been mediocre and poor. Oh, Andor even. Sorry, I forgot about Andor. We got Andor Season 2 coming, so that's good. But the rest of it's been mediocre and poor. So it has been a sour note and a punching bag for YouTubers and streamers all in the world over. Like, people are bashing this thing. Kennedy promised over the deeply unpopular Star Wars sequel trilogy, which saw the deconstruction and eventual death of Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, whilst pushing a younger and more diverse cast. I disagree with that statement, the diverse cast part. Like, Rey being the chosen one, being the Jedi, that story. When I watched Force Awakens and all the promotional stuff that started on that film, right? And the big Finn poster with him holding the lightsaber, I thought, this is brilliant. John Boyega, who played Finn, should have been the lead. He should have been the Jedi. That story of a stormtrooper becoming a Jedi to take down the First Order. Was it the First Order? Yeah, because First Order, I think it was. Yeah, take them down. It would have been a great story. Rey, unknown person from Jakku, built up this mystery about her parents. Her parents were nobodies, but her grandfather was a somebody. And her grandfather was a Palpatine, but she identifies as a Skywalker. That didn't really sit well for me at the end of it. It was like the whole sequel trilogy was about owning your truth for Luke, owning his truth about what he did, his issues and what he did to his nephew. Han, you know, owning your truth for Ben, who was Kylo Ren, you know, owning his truth for killing his father. It was all about owning the truth, but then when Rey has to own her truth and go, I'm a Palpatine, she backs out of it completely, and it's like, well, nah. But I genuinely think they should have either just done her as a Kenobi or done her as a Skywalker, like had her as a Skywalker, like that'd have been better probably, but they didn't. So, yeah. So to say that it was like, to go on and say it was the diverse cast that probably pushed it away, it wasn't. It was this bad storytelling. It was handed from J.J. Abrams to Rian Johnson to Colin Trevorrow, then back to J.J. Abrams, and it was a whole big issue. So I wouldn't blame it on them. I'd blame it on the direction that Kathleen Kennedy should have been steering that ship, going, we are not going to kill Snoke. Snoke is this great villain. We're going to build him up for episode 8, and then episode 9 we're going to reveal who he is, and it's going to be huge. Like the I Am Your Father sequence. Like, they could have done something really special there, but they didn't. So, whatever. Kathleen Kennedy also oversaw Solo: A Star Wars Story, which holds the distinction of being the first ever Star Wars film to lose money at the box office, which lost money because it was 95% done. Then they reshot things, and it went over budget massively, and it was never going to make money. When you couple with the critical and commercial failures of Disney Plus, like The Acolyte, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and The Book of Boba Fett, it becomes clear that under Kennedy's supervision, Star Wars has fallen a long way from the powerhouse sci-fi franchise it once was. With every failed project and announcement that never ultimately sees the light of day, fans around the world ask a series of unifying questions. When will Kathleen Kennedy leave Star Wars? When will Disney fire Kathleen Kennedy? How does Kathleen Kennedy still have a job? According to Film Threat's Chris Gore, on a recent episode of The Pro Show with WDW Pro, Kathleen Kennedy actually wants to leave Lucasfilm, but only under very specific circumstances. We've been hearing lately that Kathleen Kennedy is not very hands-on with Star Wars at this point. Hollywood scooper WDW Pro said to Chris Gore in a recent episode of his live stream YouTube show, "Are you hearing anything similar that she may be operating in title only, at least for now?" Gore then confirmed that he was hearing similar rumblings before dropping a bit more information. She wants to retire and leave, Gore said, but she wants to do that on a win, which makes sense. Like, you can't knock her for wanting to leave on a high. She's been a part of Lucasfilm for almost her entire life, and she's had a couple of wins, a couple of failures, and a lot more failures recently than wins. It makes sense she wants to go out on a high instead of a low. She wants to be handing Star Wars back on a high, which is doable. It is doable. It's not impossible, but yeah. Gore then went on to say that in order to leave, Kathleen Kennedy wants a huge success that she can ride into retirement. This could be a smash hit television show or a major box office victory with a theatrical release. In other words, she wants to go out on a high note like George Costanza on Seinfeld. Yeah, okay. It stands to reason that Kennedy would want to retire. She's 71 years old and has enjoyed a long, highly lucrative career in Hollywood. However, if recent projects are indicative of what the studio under her leadership is capable of, then we might be stuck with Kathleen Kennedy for a very long time. The Acolyte, for example, had an atrocious showing on Disney+, with audiences' scores on Rotten Tomatoes falling as low as 13% during the show's initial run, and it sits at 17% as of writing this. It's still, I think, like 17%. I don't think it's gone up. The Acolyte also vanished from Nestle top 10 streaming shows after just 4 episodes. The Park Place editor-in-chief, John F. Trent, also pointed out that Leslie Headland-led live-action series lost 75% of Star Wars audience that tuned in for Season 2's final of The Mandalorian. I feel kind of sorry for Kathleen Kennedy because I think she put trust in the wrong people to deliver proper Star Wars projects. And I'm not saying anything bad here, but Leslie Headland wasn't very well loved in the Star Wars community before the show even came out. And she's gone on to say, like, if I get a season 2, I'm going to do what I like with Yoda. And it's like, you're going to ruin Yoda. And it seems like, I did a video, it seems like she would be getting one, and D23 would have been the place to announce it, but they haven't. So, at the moment, we're okay, but I'm still not holding hope. Kennedy has also announced a plethora of Star Wars projects that never saw the light of day. This includes the trilogy by last director Rian Johnson, a Rogue Squadron movie by Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins, a film by Marvel Studio head Kevin Feige, and a film by Game of Thrones showrunners David Benioff and Dan... The Game of Thrones showrunners David Benioff and Dan Wesseys, I have to say, that was a trilogy. So we actually have 3, 4, 5... We have 9 projects that were never made. I think the Rogue Squadron film's still, like, in development. Rian Johnson's done. Kevin Feige may do it. I don't know, but who knows. With Kennedy's current Lucasfilm contract reportedly set to expire in October, it would be interesting to see if Disney renews her or if Lucasfilm might be searching for a new studio head. What do you think? Will Kennedy stick around until she gets the long-awaited big win, or will Disney force her to move on come October? That's the end of the article. I think Disney will make her retire, and she will probably retire on a high note, because in theory, if she leaves in October and the Skeleton Crew does well, then that'd be a high, right? High note for her. She's not going to be signing another contract. I can see her being like, could I stay on for the till Skeleton Crew's finished running? And they're probably going to go, okay. Who would take over? Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. I think they should take two big heads of Star Wars and just put them together and be like, you are going to be co-runners of this ship now. A bit like James Gunn and Peter Safran are doing with the DCU. There was rumours that, like, oh, could Kevin Feige be doing it? This was a while back. No, he's very on set with Marvel. Marvel is on its path to fixing itself. Marvel's had trouble. in all fairness, it's not just Lucasfilm. Every studio that Disney has had recently has had problems. Pixar haven't had a win until Inside Out 2. Marvel are just finally getting their feet back into like $1 billion and the big movies that are making big ways. I guess we can't really count 2021's No Way Home because that was a Sony project in the MCU. So I guess we can kind of count it, kind of not. But they're finally making headway again. I don't think Kevin Feige is going to jump ship and be like, I'm going to help you do Star Wars, get that back on track, and it just won't happen. Disney Studios, they've had some good films. But yeah, everything's been struggling within Disney. If you take a look at the big picture in recent years, but that's because most of the stuff has been focused to Disney Plus. What can I say? That is the truth. What do I want? What do I see from this? This could be a good thing, but it could also be a bad thing because you can get rid of Kathleen Kennedy and put someone else in who's worse, right? So we just got to find out. We just got to wait and see what happens. October seems like it'd be the earliest announcement. That's about 2 months away, and I'm assuming, right, it'll be October 31st we hear anything. And the reason why I say that is because October 31st was when the deal was announced with Lucasfilm and Disney, when the deal was signed and done. So if it's October, I'd assume that the contracts have run yearly and annually, and her contract negotiations are October 31st. I think she's going to bow out. Maybe they'll give her a 6-month extension just to oversee this. Maybe she'll stick around for another 2 years for 2026, bow out. Or she'll do the 2027 projects. It could be they get this new head in. Kathleen Kennedy still overseeing the ones she's greenlit, like the ones that are coming out, and this new guy's going to take it and just go, or new woman. But I don't know. We will see, won't we? So that being said, I'll see you on the next one. Want to hear your thoughts down below. Like, are you excited for Kathleen Kennedy potentially retiring? Do you think she's going to get a win with Skeleton Crew? Do you think Skeleton Crew is going to be good? What's your guys' thoughts at this point in this moment in time? I'm just waiting and seeing. It's either a win for Kathleen Kennedy and for us, or it's a lose for Kathleen Kennedy, lose for us, or it's a win-lose. I don't know. It can go either way at this point. Better to know the enemy. It's better to know the enemy that you know than the enemy that you don't, I guess, in this sense. Is someone that's going to take it and drive it in further into the ground, if that's even possible. I don't know, but with that being said, I'll see you on the next one. Wasn't expecting to be this long, but yeah. Drop me a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on the whole thing. And as always, stay cinematic. See you later. Goodbye.